So welcome to SEBULENI Africa interviews. And my name is Patrick Ngugi. And we are very privileged today. We have somebody, a special guest all the way from Nigeria. And those who may not know her, okay, those who may know her, you've seen her all over the place going to give talks about writing and so on. So she's a coach, a writing coach, but she's so much than that. And we are privileged to have her today because she's going to tell her, or rather, she's going to tell us her story and why. What is this passion about moving all over the place, teaching people how to write? Before that, I know she was a teacher, but just before I invite Josephine, I may want to tell you a bit about her and then invite her to tell us the story of her life. Josephine Ogufere is a traveling book coach. That's what she says. Traveling book coach, meaning she goes all over the place, teaching people, showing people, or giving people tips about writing. She also assists with the book writing process. You can refer to her as a writing coach, book sharper also. She also facilitates the creative conception of a book idea to help develop first draft into completed manuscript and assist in proofreading and copy editing. That's quite a mouthful. How do you manage doing this, Josephine, before you tell us about yourself? It must be a hectic life.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. So the thing I would say is passion. You know how it is when you have something on the inside of you and you just have to let it out.
Yeah.
At that point, there's this strength that comes, and that strength is what actually makes it possible for you to do certain things. So in my case, I think I'm passionate about seeing Africa, and how they should trust me. That's the point where I get triggered to do what I need to do. So that's basically where I would say I get my strength to be able to get all those things done.
Okay, but you have not always been a traveler. I think at one time you used to be in a classroom teaching. Maybe at this point you can really introduce yourself. Where did it all start? Did you start in a classroom as a teacher? And at what point did you start feeling I need to write?
Yeah.
And after which I can teach?
In school. I was a classroom teacher. So I'm at the point in my life where I no longer actually sit in the four walls of a classroom. My classroom, the world is my stage. The world has become my classroom.
So the world is your stage, as you say. But
yes,
how long have you been doing? Yeah. How long have you been doing this traveling?
Okay. For about five. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
So for about 5 years, I decided to set out to, I wanted a situation where I did not confine myself to the four walls of the classroom. I just wanted to be able to go out there. You know how it is. We all start out local. So a time comes when you being local is not enough for humanity. You must needs go out there to get, things done. People want to identify with people that they can look into their eyes, they can hear their voices, and they can feel, a handshake or something. So I, at that point, decided to go from where I am now to the point where I had access to people out there. So traveling is one thing that gives me the opportunity of being able to be a blessing to humanity beyond staying in the four walls of a classroom.
All right. So give us a brief background. Where are you right now? We are recording this from Nairobi, Kenya, for our viewers. But where are you? We're in Nigeria. What part of Nigeria are you?
So I'm in Lagos, Nigeria. So it's one of the smallest states in Nigeria, but it's the most powerful state in Nigeria. It's where quite a lot of powerful things happen. So you see that so many things have transpired over the years. But Lagos is significant because it has a way of propelling you as a young person to go out and then to give your bits. So yeah, I'm right here in Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay, is that your hometown? Is that where you were born?
No, yes, I was born in Lagos, Nigeria.
Mm.
I was born in Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay, so what was you're now traveling, but what was your first, how did you end up into writing? Because before you start teaching, you have to know how to write. How did it come to you, and how did you get the idea that you can be first a writer and then a tutor of literature or writing, and even now publishing?
Okay, so as a little girl, I used to write. Okay, so I wrote for different reasons. So the first reason I wrote was to pass my message across to people. So a lot of times I wasn't expressive. I couldn't talk to people, but I felt a particular way, and then the feeling was always very strong. But I realized that when I penned my feeling down, it captured everything I wanted to say to people. So I would write my feelings, I would send them out to my friends and say, this is what I feel about the situation. And that had the effect of making me feel good after I had written. Okay, so I started out as a young girl writing. A time came when I transitioned, and then as a young lady, I started to write because I wanted to, beyond expressing myself, I wanted people to know the things that I dealt with privately. And I also wanted a situation where I could heal other people. So most of the times when I wrote poetry. Poetry was something that afforded me the opportunity of being a blessing to a lot of young people at the time, because I had issues with quite a lot of relationships. I didn't know what relationships really meant. I didn't know there were rules. But I just realized that by the time I spoke certain words, poetic words, they had a way of making people understand who I really was and what my battles were. So I continued and I transitioned to the point where I started to write professionally. And of course, I'm at the point where I'm now coaching. So that's my short story.
That's great. How old were you when you discovered that you can put your feelings on paper and then feel better?
I was less than 10. And
so you were in primary school?
10. Yes, I was in primary school. Yes, I was.
And that continued into high school?
Yes, it continued into high school. And it was at high school I started to write poetry. And the poetry, I realized it was good because quite a lot of people would cheer me. And I had situations where some people will come and say, please write for me. I need to get on a competition. So I remember one particular person, he took one of my poems and he entered the competition. Of course, he won the competition on my behalf. And so he just said, Josephine, you know, that poem I got from you, I was able to put it in and then I won a competition. And I was like, okay, I really didn't know what the value was, but I was happy that I could be a blessing to him. And yeah, so that's it.
So at that point, when you are doing this poetry in high school and maybe writing poetry for classmates, did you know, or did you ever imagine that at one point you'll be a published author, you'll be publishing? Was there a desire in your heart or in your mind that you want to be published, or you didn't know what publishing is all about?
I really didn't have so much information about it. I knew that people had books and all of that, but it didn't come to me at that time, you know, that I could actually publish, you know, the things I had written. I just used to write for the fun of it. And then, you know, my papers were scattered all around. There'll be times my mom will say, you're putting a lot of paper all everywhere. And, you know, she'll gather them. Sometimes she'll throw them out because I was making a mess with all the papers I had everywhere in her house. I was virtually filling her house with papers all around. And you know how parents can be so tidy. And then, you know, so it was really, I didn't have an idea I was actually going to come to the point where I would publish my poetry and other books, my fiction and nonfiction. No, I didn't.
So are you not collecting them into a book, into a notebook? You're just writing on a piece of paper and scattering them?
At the time, that's what I felt. I just would write and then they were just everywhere. So I didn't know to collect them and put them together. I never knew that. But the thing is, as I transitioned, I realized that one of the things I wanted to do was to be a blessing to people. So there are times when maybe for your birthday, I could take a collection of all my papers and then print them out and then send them to you. And then the good thing about that is that a friend of mine kept those things so many years. He kept them for so many years. So at some point he said, Josephine, I have a collection of your poetry. And at that time, of course, I didn't have any collection. And he said, I'll send them rights to you. And I said, wow, okay. And he sent them to me. And it was part of what I was able to use for my pretty poetry. That's my collection of poems. And it really felt good that God was working to make sure that all my scattered works were gathered in one place. And at the time when I really needed it and I became conscious of the fact that I could print them, it was available for me.
So was this friend of yours collecting them because he loved your poetry, or are you writing for him, or you are writing, sharing with him?
Okay, it was just what I would love to do. I'll just, he was one particular friend that I could talk to. So I could talk to him about a lot of things. So that season, I just noticed that for a present, I didn't have the money to buy him anything, but I had my poems. And so I put them together, stacked them as piles of paper, and then sent them to him. And so that was basically it.
Oh, that's interesting. So some of it became your first published book?
Exactly. My first published poetry book, not the first published.
All right. So how long ago was that? And how old were you?
My first poetry, I think I just want to talk about my first published book. That was about 5 years ago. And my first poetry collection was last year.
Oh, last year. So it included those poems that your friends gave back to you.
Yes.
So you talk about your first book. Which one is it? First non-poetry book.
Okay. The title is Queen Arise. Okay, so it's my story. It's a story of me, how I rose from the ashes. I'd suffered clinical depression. I'd suffered a bad time in my relationships, in business, and in all of that. And then the greatest of what I went through was the demise of my dad. And I was feeling broken and all of that. So I wanted to be able to express myself and then heal myself, as it were. I wanted to be my healer. So I just realized that I started to write. I wrote about my experiences. I wrote about how I was able to pick up the pieces of my life and become the great woman that I am today. So it wasn't a perfect book, like we would say it now. It's not like now when I write books, of course, it's way better than I've written in the past. But it was a book that it has its own originality, stemming from the stories, stemming from experiences, and then how I was able to go through those experiences by the knowledge I had from the Bible, and then of course from other things that some people had said to me, spiritual leaders, and then some mentors and coaches. So it was an amazing book. It is an amazing book, and then it's a book that I still love. Although there are quite a lot of, it's not a perfect book, but it's my best.
I think it was a place to start.
Exactly. I was clueless. I didn't know what to do, but I just knew I wanted to write, and I wrote them and I got them published, and that was it.
Had you started this journey about traveling mentor at that time, or you hadn't started?
No, at that time I had not started. I was still a class teacher. I was still in the confines of the school. So I had not started.
So what are you teaching when you're in school?
Okay, early childhood, basically was what I learned. I got certification in early years. So I was basically teaching little children, preschool, nursery, and then primary. Okay. So what was I teaching them? Literacy, numeracy, culture, and all of that.
So is that the reason why in your mentorship, writing mentorship, you usually focus on young children?
The thing is, you know how it is, when a tree has grown, it's formed, it's hard to take out. But if it's a little seed that has just been planted, it's easy to take out that plant. So I just realized that a lot of times with very old people, they're already set in their way. They have their mindsets, and then whatever it is that in their experiences has formed them. But with the children, it's easy for you to mold them because they're like clay that is still wet. Okay. So when you put the right information in the lives of those little children, it's easy to form them. And when you form them, the things that make the things that include the formation makes for their values. And of course, in the long run, those are the things they take out. be a blessing to humanity. So things like kindness, like tenacity, consistency, hard work, and all of it is what we basically are able to imbibe in them. Yeah. But if they grow older, it's more difficult. I've tried it. I've tried, times I've also had the opportunity of coaching older people. And in fact, the last person I coached, it was amazing how just because she was set in her ways, there were a lot of things that she did not benefit from my coaching because she already had a mindset. A fixed mindset. A fixed mindset. She was set in her way. So it's not, I don't have that as a challenge with the little ones. I'm able to tell them this is it, and then these are my experiences. From that, they learn a thing or two, they apply it, and then it's amazing the result that they get. So the best experience I've had is a 7-year-old. So she was actually able to start, and then I liked the fact that I was able to mentor her in terms of proximity. We were very close to each other. So she saw me wake up in the morning. She saw me take decisions. She saw me when I was happy. She saw me when I was angry and all of that. Now being able to come to that point where she was able to finish her book, it was a good experience. And that was my best experience of coaching. So I would rather prefer to coach young children than the adults. Although, of course, I will coach the adults, but my best of experiences comes from coaching the youths, which is made up of the teenagers and then the young children.
So how do they, when they invite you, for example, a particular school invites you to go and coach their students, do they pick on the students who may be interested in writing, or they just put a whole bunch of them together and then it's up to you to give them the work?
Okay, so when I started, what happened was that we got all the children come together, and then I was able to assess the ones that had written one thing or the other. So whether it's just a piece of paper of a story, a little story, I was able to do an assessment for them. And I realized that not everybody is interested in writing. But one of the ways I always would use to get their attention is the fact that I will always tell them that everything in life boils down to writing. Yeah. You want to be a musician, you must learn how to write songs. You want to be a businessman, you must write business plans. You want to, you're a journalist, you must write things that concern, the environment that you're in. And all of that. So I tell them that one of the skills that every child must have is the skill of writing. So whether you're writing for business, or you're writing for fun, or you're writing to make money or to tell a story, writing is important. So we have all of them come together. We know these ones are gifted, but everybody, we always emphasize on the fact that everyone can learn how to write. And then if you're not really interested in taking it further, it's fine by you. But everyone gets the information. Whoever needs to proceed with it, proceeds with it. And then, of course, we end up giving awards to people that are exemplary when they go through the program.
Okay. So, so do you visit schools or churches, or what kind of organizations?
Okay. Yeah, for now, what we basically do is schools and churches. And then I run my program for individuals. So the beginning of this year, we started out with it was last year, towards the end of last year, we started out with schools. So we'll pick a school, and then in that school, we'll choose a particular location, time, and all of that. So work with them. This year, we're able to do churches. Churches came, and then there's even a project I'm working on, and it has to do with some children in church. But what I've done basically is the social media. I've been able to use social media to get people come. So they get to do the program online, they get to graduate online, and then it's amazing how the world just comes to attention because they've actually gone through the program and they've written a book, and then it's a book that, of course, everyone wants to read. So we don't confine it to just churches and schools. We also are able to do for corporate entities as well. And okay. Privately.
So this online one is quite interesting. Is it possible to do that kind of training online from scratch up to the end, and how long will it take?
Okay, so what I've done basically has been online. It has been a 30-day course where I take them from the beginning. We have a curriculum. So the curriculum is the experiences that they would have to go through in 30 days. So it's spelled out what they will do per day. So in 30 days, we go through the process. I'm coaching, I'm mentoring, they're writing. So we're working together collaboratively. And then the tasks are given to them every day. Every day there's a task. So everyone is able to do their task and then send back to me. I'm able to look through it and then tweak it and say, this is right, this is not right, you should work on this. So we've been able to do that for more than a year now. We started out in February last year and we've raised almost 100 authors with the process online. So it's just now I'm beginning to work, in schools. And then it's been fantastic.
So you actually started online?
Yes, we started online.
And you've done
during the pandemic.
You've raised about 100 authors?
Yes, about 100. That's putting them together. But of course, there will be people who drop out and then people that will not make it to the end. But people that have enrolled have been about 100.
So do these students or these the beneficiaries of your program, are they the one who meet the cost or is there a fee to pay, or are you sponsored by some organization, or how does it work?
Okay. Most of the times, because we've had a bit of resources, we've been able to make a lot of people go for free. So we've had free trainings for a lot of people. But there are times when we have people that have paid for the courses. We have people that have paid for the courses. And then, of course, we also have people that they have taken some discounts from the courses. So like what we had lately for the children, we gave them a discount, almost 50% discount, and then they were able to actually get on.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm sure, okay, you started online. So that was how you were able to take a wide area. But when you started moving around, of course, you cannot move all over in the beginning. I'm sure you started in the neighborhood and maybe spread out the rest of Nigeria. So could you mention a few places outside Lagos that you have gone?
Okay, so the first place we've done is Port Harcourt, and we had that was during the summer this year. We had our trainings in Port Harcourt with a couple of children, about 4 or 5 children. So they were able to start the process. So they're at the point where they're about to publish and then print some copies. Then we went to Aba. Aba is in Abia State, Nigeria. So we're able to find a few of them. We're still working. We've not really had anyone publish from there.
Okay.
But we have the books, the manuscripts. Then we're able to take it to beyond Aba. We're actually supposed to go to Uyo, but we just weren't able to get a lot of people. We're not even able to get people from there. So it's still on hold. So the next place we'll focus on is northern Nigeria. We've been able to cover there's 6 zones in Nigeria, but we've been able to cover 4 zones for now. And then we're left with 2 more zones to cover in Nigeria. By the time we cover those 2 zones, we'd have covered Nigeria. And then the next place we'll be looking for is other countries in Africa. So we intend to do North, South, East, and West. So on our schedule is North Africa. So we have Egypt, we have South Africa, of course, South Africa. We have East Africa, that will be Kenya. And then, of course, West Africa. We've done a lot in Nigeria. So we hope to do Ghana and then Benin Republic and places close to West Africa. So that's where we are now.
So okay, I'm talking to you now, but you're talking about we. We are hoping to do this. We are hoping to go there. Who is we?
Okay, the African Writers Tribe. That's the organization.
Oh yeah, the African Writers Tribe. Who are these?
Okay, so the African Writers Tribe is a collection of writers that, you know how it is. A tribe is basically a group of people that come together to pull resources.
Yes.
They are a support team for each other. I remember when I was doing stuff by myself, it was so difficult. I introduced the challenge. Now the African Writers Book Challenge is what we do for 30 days. So I have people come join me, and then you know how it is when a tribe works together. a tree cannot make a forest. So when a lot of trees come together, we make a forest. In the forest, we can find real estate. In the forest, we can, when we talk about real estate, we talk about shelter. In the forest, there's water. So there's a spring where everyone can draw water from. There's medical care. So we could do herbs and say, okay, this herb is good for me, that herb is good for me. So it's all of us coming together to form a community, a tribe of people that are the regular kind of human beings that you see, but people that are confined to writing. You know, a lot of times they say a teacher's reward is in heaven. And then nobody talks about a writer's reward. In everybody's mind, a writer has no reward, you know. But we're saying the African Writers Tribe was set up to make sure that the rewards of every writer comes to them. So we write, first of all, to heal ourselves. We're a collection of people that write to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
First of all, we're also a collection of people that write to heal other people.
Yes.
We write to make sure that the mindset of humanity is changed, especially in the life of the young Africans. Okay. And finally, we write to make sure we earn a living. So I've been trying to prove a point that I was able to make 6 digits from what I'm doing. Nothing else, just being a book coach. I was able to raise my earnings 6 digits. Now imagine every writer having 6 digits. Let's the standard amount in dollars. Imagine every writer having get to 6 digits in dollars. It means that we would not go through all the things we get to go through. A lot of times writers are stigmatized. A lot of times they're the broke ones. They're the ones that will die, you know, like journalists. They're the ones that will die in service, and then not a lot of people would give them accolades or put their hands together for them. You know, but we're saying no. If the entertainers can get as much, we might as well come to the point where we also can pull resources to get that much. So the bottom line, if you ask me, it's a tribe where we raise healthy, wealthy, and happy authors.
That's beautiful. That's great. And does it have individual membership who are writers, or how does this tribe work? I mean, if you want to be a member of the tribe, for example.
If you want to be a member, it's just, you know how it is. There are categories of membership. So the first category, everybody can join because everybody starts out being broke. I started out being broke as a writer, okay? So, you know, all those things where people say, come and pay this amount of money, XYZ amount of money to get trained. And, you know, I don't have the money. So why give me further headache when I don't even have the money? So the first thing we do is we get everyone to gather together and we begin to work on their mindset. So that we open their eyes up to see the opportunities as authors, the opportunities that they can get as authors. So membership for the beginning stage is free. So anyone can join, anyone can be a member of the tribe. But then we take it a step further to say that everyone that wants to take it a step further must be able to be someone who has written a book at least. And, you know, so how does that work? There's a little membership fee. So what that does is that it gives you access to be able to get at least your first book published. By the time you get your first book published, it gives you access to know the tips that you can use in selling those books. And then, of course, building a business around your book. So that's the first stage. We keep going higher and higher and higher till, you know, everyone is actually able to come, and then my experiences, my 6-digit earning experiences becomes your 6 earning experience.
6 digits, you're talking about an income.
Yes, yes.
That's quite inspiring because there's a feeling, I don't know whether it's all over, there's a feeling, particularly in Kenya maybe, that writers don't make money. You can't make a living from writing. But you're telling us you are getting 6-figure income from what you're doing. And is it just because of the coaching part of it?
No, the thing is, there are 1,001 ways to make money as an author. So when you become a tribe member, these are the things we put you through. So I will talk about my own personal experience and then how I was able to get to this point. So during the pandemic, I'd stopped working for a while because even before the pandemic had happened, I'd stopped working for a while as a school teacher and as a school owner. So I just was thinking about the next thing I wanted to do with myself. And of course, it came to me that I could actually do this. So just before, like a couple of months just before the pandemic started, I said, you know what, this writing, I'm going to just get all the information I need. So I started to do my personal development. I started to do my research and all of that. So I came to the point where I was not confining myself to the status quo. So before I knew it, I just realized that I would just put up posts on Facebook, I would write the story or something. And then I just started to get offers. So I got my first copywriting job, and the person said he was going to pay me 4 digits in Nigerian naira. Okay. So I said, okay, that's fine. 4 digits is okay for just one write-up. So I'm acting as a copywriter to you, and I'm earning 4 digits per writing. So I put up one article and I earned 4 digits in one day. So think about it. That was about 2,000 naira. So 2,000 naira times 30, that was about 60,000 naira all through the month. But of course, I wasn't able to do all through the month because it was a bit overwhelming because there were quite a lot of things I was doing. So I would just take a bit, do the article, get paid for that particular one. So that was 2 digits. Then the next thing I realized was that I wanted more money. I wanted to at least get to, go beyond the 4 digits to 5 digits. So what did I do? I had a friend, he's a media guy. We started to do videos. So people will do write-ups. Like I remember the poetry that you sent to me. So think about that poetry and then having pictures on the poetry, not just the sound, not just the voiceover. So I'll get voiceover, I'll get stories of people, and then we put, voice and then text to those pictures. So what happened was we were able to create another product, and the product will pay us 5 digits for every one that we got.
Oh, that's great.
So we take maybe the president of Kenya and then do a story about him from his childhood till when he grew up, and then use just pictures. And then the clients paid, and it was fantastic. So after that, the next thing that came to me was I needed my 6 digit earning. And I didn't know how I was going to go about it, but I knew that I had developed skills in my ability to make sure that I took people's concepts and made them products. So in terms of branding, all you do is probably have an idea or a book that you've written. I turned that into, I would shoot full videos depicting, that particular book. And then we'll take it from there. Before I knew it, I got a client, and then he said, I need you to help me do this. And of course, since I was doing branding and marketing as well, that was where my 6 digit earning came from. And of course, there was editing and proofreading. So that's where I got to. So I'm at the point where I'm looking at 7 digits.
Wow.
And of course,
that's great. That's great.
I'm not hitting
you
my
have
first class.
Yeah.
Close. I'm very close. Trust me, I'll tell them.
That is fantastic. And this, has it been enabled by yourself, of course, and the African Writers Tribe, or is that just your initiative, personal initiative?
It's my initiative. It's a support. It's the support group of my company. I have a limited liability company, so the African Writers Tribe is a subsidiary of the company.
Oh.
But the time will come when the African Writers Tribe will be able to stand as an entity of its own. So I thank God for that.
Great, fantastic. So African Writers Tribe, has it expanded outside Nigeria? Because of course you said you are planning to go to North Africa, East Africa, and Kenya, of course, Southern Africa. Has it already expanded? Do you have members outside Nigeria? Or is it something you're starting to do?
No, we already have members everywhere. So we have members in South Africa. We have a strong membership in South Africa. We're building in Kenya. We just have a couple of people, like 1 or 2. So we're still building in Kenya. We don't really have. And for North Africa, we've not even started. But in West Africa, that's where I'm from. We have someone in Benin Republic, the tribe leader in Benin Republic. And then we're working on other areas as well. So we already have tribe members there. But what we're doing is we want to come to the point where we're done with Nigeria, and then we can take the tribe and then inaugurate the tribe in all those areas. We talked about Kenya, South Africa, Egypt, of course, Ghana or Benin Republic.
So Sebuleni Africa welcomes you to Kenya, where is the headquarters of Sebuleni Africa. Maybe Sebuleni Africa. Maybe Sebuleni, yeah. Sebuleni Africa and African Writers Tribe. Maybe behind the scenes we are going to work together and see how that will be made possible. Yes.
I like Kenya for 1,001 reasons. Okay. So first, I like Kenya for is the wild. I like the fact that you could actually see the lions, the tigers, the safari. So that's one thing I know I'm going to be doing when I come to South Africa, the safari. And then I like the people. They're not as energetic as us from West Africa. We're always in a hurry. There's always one thing to catch up. A regular Kenyan person will sit down and think through a lot of things. But Nigeria, we're always bubbly, hyperactive, jumping, and all of that. But that's the uniqueness of Africa. So God has made us different.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Okay, we are not, you say we are a bit slow, but of course we have some of the fastest runners in the world. But again, people are different. In some parts of the country, you'll find people who are slow, who take their time. And again, some parts of the country, people are always running, particularly in the major cities like Nairobi, people are always in a hurry. Yeah. So I needed to ask you, like, in Kenya, mainly, it's like people after school, after they finish their school, they stop reading. Very few people stop. I mean, very few people continue reading. And those who do read would rather read Western stories, Western storybook. I mean, Western as in European novels or English novel from America and so on. I don't know whether you have the same challenge in Nigeria.
Yes, we do have the same challenge, but the thing about it is the fact that a lot of people are converting books to movies now. So you know how it is, the generation we live in, people want to watch things.
Yeah.
They want to see dance, they want to see performing arts, music, dance, drama, comedy, poetry. So how we've been able to capture a bit, if you've read Chimamanda Adichie's book, the times when she started, all of us read Popular Hibiscus, but when she wrote Half of a Yellow Sun, we had a movie producer do justice to the book. And because of that, we realized that more people were able to watch, and then they experienced the story live, like they were there, and all of that. So I feel that we must make our books in such a way that the next generation wants to read them. The next generation, I guess they're tired of text. They want to bring out that text and put it on stage. So they want to see it dramatized. They want to see music from it. They want to see all of that. So I feel that as things are changing, we also ought to change to make sure that this happens. So I believe that it's a challenge in all of Africa. And I think it's even a global challenge. Young people don't want to read. They want to listen to the books. So you have audiobooks.
Audiobook, yeah.
So they want to see a movie about the book. So all of those things are things that we're putting into consideration. And then now we've set up our media production aspects of the African Writers Tribe. So we also have an initiative we call Books to Movies. So by the time we're done with the books, we convert them
as
to
African Writers Tribe, you do that?
Yes, we do that.
Okay.
So we already have a producer, directors, and all of that. So we're working tirelessly to make sure that this generation gets the information that they need to get better. If they don't want it, you know how it is, how they used to drink water those days. We'll just take a cup and then draw from one big basin. But now there's bottled water. There's water you can carry around. So it's still the same water, but it's just that it's put in a different container. And so the people, exactly. So the packaging is what we're working on to make sure that the next generation, they do not give any excuse why they shouldn't read. So that's basically
I agree with you, because whenever I try to publish one of my books, people send an email or they comment on Facebook whether I have an audiobook. Yeah, whether I have an audiobook or whether I have it on what you call whether you can read it, a soft copy, whether you can read it online. Yeah, and I think you're right, because people want stuff faster. They don't want to do the hard work of getting a
That's true.
book like this and turning
Reading
pages.
it.
They want to scroll,
That's true.
either
That's
scroll or
true.
watch a movie or watch a video. And it's
Yes.
interesting that African Writers Tribe is doing that in Nigeria. And I hope you'll be
Yes.
doing that the rest of Africa. I think you have a lot of
Yes.
work to do.
Whatever we do in Nigeria is a test run of what we take to everywhere in Africa.
Okay.
So we've been running for almost 2 years now. By next year, we should be 2 years. And we've tested one, we've done a lot of all that. So it's something that would work anywhere.
So how many movies have you done, or short movies on books and poetry and so on?
We're not done yet with them. We just have little movies. There's Youth Impression. Youth Impression is basically a story of me coming to realize who I was and then going to the ends of Africa to make sure youths, they get up and then they take the responsibility. Then there's Marital Realities. Marital Realities is basically a marriage movie depicting an African story of a spoiled child who gets married, and then she has a lot of challenges in marriage, but somehow she's able to weather the storm and then she's able to make it through the marriage thing. Then we have The Silent God. The Silent God is basically the story of one young woman that just believes that God doesn't know what is even happening with her. And then God would not say anything, but the time comes when she realizes that even though God wasn't talking directly, in the experiences she had and then all of the things, the challenges she had, coming out of all of it, it means that although God was not saying anything, he was there through all the challenges with her. So those are the basic ones we have. And then the final one we're working on is the super teacher transformation. So that's my story from going from being a mediocre teacher to being a super teacher. So it's a superhero thing.
And you hire actors to do the acting, and then the producer, movie producer. I mean, it takes time and it's also costly.
Yes. But what we do is, you know how it is, there's no perfect time to get anything done. So we use as much as little resources as possible to make things work. Like after the video, I'll send you some of the things, some of the movies we've done, the trailer and then the episode 1, so you see what we've done. A lot of times, what I believe in is very African. I believe in trade by barter. So I have a friend that has equipment. I write the story. I have a friend of mine that's a director. We all come together, pour resources. So by the time money starts coming, everybody knows what percentage will be allotted to them. Okay. So the trade by barter thing always works for me. Anytime I have to do something bigger than I can do. So trade by barter works perfectly for me.
Okay, I'd love to see some of those videos, and maybe we can show a clip when finally we upload this interview. And what is the future for you and African Writers Tribe and Africa as far as literature is concerned?
Okay, so our motto on the African Writers Tribe is healing the words with words, healing the world with words.
Okay.
Or healing Africa, first of all, with words.
Healing,
you notice
Africa is
yes, Africa is significant, as a continent. When you talk about the cradles of civilization, Africa is a cradle of civilization.
Yes.
There are quite a lot of things that have been stolen from Africa. It's amazing how people think they stole from us, but there's more from where that came from. So the thing about God is that God has bestowed quite a lot of things. Civilization is birthed from, the point where we come together. And then that's which we have. We use it to make sure that things are different and things change. Okay. So the African Writers Tribe were basically set up to heal the world with words. In making that happen, this is the next stage. We cannot do it independently. Okay. Notice also there's something significant about our logo. It's a very black background, and then on it is Africa in gold. So what that means is that out of every raw material, out of the raw materials that make up gold, is something that's dark. So what the world can see now is the darkness.
Yes.
But by the time the coal gets through a process of being heated up, if you notice, for over 100 years, we have been feeling the heat. You look at people like Nelson Mandela, he felt the heat. You look at you look at quite a lot of them. I don't want to mention all their names, but the heat was there. Now, after that process, the refining process, what happens is that gold emerges.
Yes.
So we're in the state where everything we've suffered as Africans, everything our forefathers suffered as Africans, we are the point where that suffering is about to bring the gold, the continent of Africa. It's about to make the continent of Africa become gold. So think about it. The Africa that our parents dreamt of, we are the ones to make that Africa become reality.
Okay.
So how are we doing it? Basically, different methods. But the things that I am using at this point is, first of all, it's fantastic to be a writer. It's fantastic to have writing skills. But if we do not have digital literacy skills,
yes,
we are not ready to conquer the world.
Yes.
Then the next one is entertainment. Entertainment must come to that point where it is standard. If you saw the movie Black Panther, that was standard. And I believe that we have the ability and the capability and capacity to get all those things done. Okay. So the next stage for the African Writers Tribe is basically making sure that writing, digital literacy, entertainment are used as a force to make sure that we heal the world with the words that we speak. So not only are we going to be writing books, there's going to be music, dance, drama, comedy, poetry. There's going to be the arts. There's going to be African fashion and style. There's going to be culture. There's going to be detached houses are going to come back. Because a lot of times I've been to, there's a place in Nigeria called Benue. We basically live in thatch houses. So there's a very big house, modern standard, but there's always a thatch house somewhere. Why? Because in the house, you're comfortable. So whether it's sunny or it's rainy or it's cold, the house is comfortable. Traditional medicines, going to the fields to pick up some leaves, it's more effective than having to swallow all those chemicals we get to swallow. That's basically it. So,
yeah.
So the next stage is basically us being able to make sure all these resources are pulled together. Yeah. And then another thing I left out is the fact that there are 6 great investments we're going to be getting ourselves involved in. And I believe that my 7 digits is going to come from this 6 great investments. What are real estate? We talked about the HOTS. We're bringing the HOTS back. The second thing is water. A lot of times, why do a lot of Africans die? There's no water. The water is not clean. You see, a lot of people have to go a long distance just to get water.
Yes.
How about we get to some springs, and then the springs, you don't need to put a lot of chemicals into spring water. It's clear, it's clean. How about we make springs? The next one is medical care. How about we go back to using herbs to heal ourselves instead of all these complicated things we're getting ourselves involved? There's also fashion and style. A lot of times we don't even know the benefits of the clothes that we have as Africans. I have nothing against Western clothes, but I see how free I am wearing my big agbada.
True.
My royal. I can't do that. I'll be conscious of how I stand and all of that, But the African, it's freedom. Trust me, everything African is free. Then of course, the most important one is the mental emancipation. So a lot of people have been confined to mental slavery. So how can they be emancipated from mental slavery? It's basically the things that we write. So those 6 great investments are basically going to be focusing on life skills. So of course, now at this point, I'm not going to be working as an individual, but I'm going to be working with corporate bodies. Thank God I have SEBULENI. Thank God I have, I'm just excited about this collaboration.
Yes, and SEBULENI will do its part and see what it can do with African Writers Tribe to
Fantastic.
particularly educate, influence, and inform people about that dream. Because what you have describe all that is actually bringing Africa into the second step, putting Africa on digital, making digital. Is despite going despite going scientifically, we also need to bring our culture by using that digital technology and bring it up together, and also remembering our hubs, our traditional cultural dresses and so on. It's quite interesting. And I thought we were just going to talk about writing, but we've done a lot. We've done a lot. And in fact, about writing, I was just thinking about fiction and literature, but life is about writing, as you've said. If you want to do business, you have to do business plans. If you want to write, to communicate with your mom, you need to write. And so it's quite something. And I am really grateful for you having joined. I come to talk to SEBULENI Africa. And maybe you have one or two other things in closing so that we can end. And as we plan to work together between African Writers Tribe and SEBULENI.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to say that it's a privilege having to come on this interview. And of course, I'm excited about it. And you know how it is, we can't really stand as one man. We must stand as a collaborative force to get things done in Africa. So if you're Christian, there's a part of the Bible that says 1 will chase 1,000, okay? And then 2 will chase 10,000. It means that the multiplication increases as we join forces together. So in joining forces together, there's a greater effect when a bigger pebble is thrown into a river. You can feel the effect, but if there's a small pebble that goes, you can feel a little bit of effect. But if a boulder is thrown into it, you feel more effect. So this collaboration is basically a boulder that would cause the Africa of our dream to become the Africa of our reality. And I'm really excited about it. Thank you very much.
All right. So thank you very much, Josephine. It was a pleasure hosting you at SEBULENI Africa interviews. And this is just the beginning. I know you'll be here quite often. And again, not only before the camera, but behind the camera, where we are going to discuss other things on how SEBULENI can work with you. So thank you very much and have a nice time. And welcome to Kenya. We are waiting for you.
Oh yeah, of course, I'm getting myself ready. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much and all the best. God bless.
Amen, amen.